first of all, let me start by saying congrats. You didn't crash the Ferrari. So let's go with that.
Crash Ferrari, good.
But I am curious. So what do you think people would be surprised to learn about the making of the Tomorrow War that they're not going to read in press notes, or, you know what I mean? Like, what's something that they might not know?
Yeah. I mean, something they might not know. Well, let's hear something, Betty Gilpin, I cast Betty Gilpin in this movie to play Chris Pratt's wife. She had a really amazing audition, and the scene that she auditioned with is a scene that's not in the movie. And it's my biggest regret as a director is that I wasn't able to keep this scene. It's a story. It was a scene about the backstory of Chris and Betty's relationship. And Betty was every single take, and Betty was doing different things and inventing different things all the time in each take. But every single take brought you to tears. It was a window into their relationship that I really it's something that I really was really fond of, and that I wish that again, my biggest regret as a filmmaker on this movie is that I wasn't able to find a way to make that work in the film. But that's something. Maybe that's not the anecdote you were looking for. But that was something that I think about a lot in terms of this movie. Betty is an amazing actor, and I'm hoping that if we make a sequel, we get more Betty in the movie.
Well, I wanted to ask you, when it comes to, like, this is coming out on Amazon, it's going to be streaming. How does it work? I've always wondered. You would think that the ability to put deleted scenes or an extended cut, even if it's rough, online for streaming would be easier, but yet nobody does it.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, obviously on iTunes, they have some of that stuff if you in the iTunes extras and things like that when you buy something. But yeah, I hope that stuff is still kind of in the, there's still a comment, is there going to be a commentary track? Is there going to be other things like that those are the things that I love. I mean, I collect, Blu-rays and DVDs and things like that. Like, I've got a literally, there's a door in my apartment that's just like, you open that door and it's just a wall of movies. So, and that's not all of them, but, I'm hoping that we will get a chance to do stuff like that. Cause there's a couple of scenes that are funny and just couldn't make it into the movie, but they're great little, just little moments in the film. So and the scene with Betty, and then commentary and all the stuff that you normally do and things like that, I hope that we still get to do that. So hopefully that's coming.
I'm curious. Let's jump into the time travel in the movie. You say what the time travel is, but then you don't spend a lot of time sort of going into the minutia of it. Was that a conscious choice?
Yeah. I mean, I wanted you to experience this. Chris Pratt's in every single scene. This movie is somewhat of a character study of Chris Pratt's character. So you see everything from Chris Pratt's point of view. So it's like Signs, versus Independence Day. Independence Day is a movie that you can cut to the Pentagon, you can cut to the White House, you can cut to, people around the world experiencing an alien invasion. Signs is a movie where you experience an alien invasion from a farmhouse, and you can only see what the people in the farmhouse see, and that's it. Our movie is like that, where I'm not cutting to all these things. I'm only seeing what Chris Pratt sees. So I'm seeing stuff either through the media that Chris Pratt absorbs or through Chris Pratt's direct experience with things. So if he goes to a briefing on time travel, he gets a little bit of some briefing about the way time travel works, but then he's off, and then, the alarm goes off, and then they all have to, get to stations and get sent to the future. So I kind of wanted, and since the movie also isn't one of those movies where the time travel mechanics are used in the solving of the problem of the movie, I also felt like we don't need to necessarily explain, because it doesn't directly affect the things that Chris Pratt is going to do. We don't necessarily need to explain that. Plus, I think there are some things that, because we've all experienced time travel movies, there's assumptions that an audience can make about some things later on in the movie, as far as like what maybe Yvonne and Chris are talking about, that I think are stuff that because we are smart audience members and we know a lot about the time travel tropes and stuff like that, we can make some assumptions. And I feel like that was like, omitting some of that stuff was okay.
Yeah, because I was wondering, because listen, with time travel, there's a lot of different futures, if you will, like, and because you can have that speech of don't touch that, or don't you kill someone in the past, it affects, you can really get into the minutia of it. Yeah. So you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and so from me, I chose to give you what Chris Pratt's version of what he experienced in time travel, which was a brief thing about this, and then suddenly he's getting thrown into the future. It's like it's like we're in the infancy of flight, and we're gonna have to take a transatlantic flight, even though we're still in Wright brothers days. So you're gonna get in, and now you're gonna go, and we can't explain to you all the principles of flight. You're just gonna get in this plane, and we're gonna take off. We're gonna see how far we can get.
You probably know this about me. I always like asking about how long a first cut was, or a rough cut. I'm always fascinated by the editing process. So how long was your original director's cut?
The director's cut, probably, I guess, because the process was, because of COVID and a few other things, the process was a little less formal than other, if this had been in another time. But I would say that, let's say that the long version of a movie where it sort of felt a little bit like the movie was closer to 3 hours than not. Like that, it was definitely a long, and then it was just a struggle to go, okay, how much of this can we lose? And some of that's a financial thing, because there's some bigger stuff for the action scenes and some other stuff that just, from a financial standpoint, we had to make some tough decisions. But some of it also was just like, okay, this movie needs to be moving at this point. We can't belabor some of these things, and stuff that the audience really wouldn't need. It's not stuff that anybody would ever miss. There's some jokes and things like that. I mean, they always sort of hate to cut, somebody being really funny or doing something really, really great. But I think for the most part, other than the scene with Betty, we made really good choices.
When did you decide to have Sam set the all-time movie record for saying the word shit in a movie?
That was in script. That was in the script phase when when Zach wrote a script that didn't have a lot of humor in it, and so one of my jobs was, because I knew there was going to be stuff that was very serious and sort of could go over into being self-serious in a way that's not appealing. So I wanted there to always be some levity to the movie. And so, and when I was pitching the movie, I pitched Sam as Charlie. Like, even before I got the job, I said, you got to hire this guy as Charlie. He's going to provide a lot of fun to this movie and everyman quality and that kind of thing. And you should hire other comedians. I mean, Mary Lynn and Mike Mitchell and people like that were not far out of my mind for just filling out the Army of the Ordinary. So when we were kind of adding levity to the film, one of the thoughts I had was, when shit goes down the very first time, I wanted Sam to just, I think in the script it said shit times 1,000. And that was in his dialogue line, and then Sam literally, I kid you not, literally went down 4 stories, running and firing and saying shit. So we had this descender rig that just followed him all the way down, all 4 stories of Sam just running down the stairs, firing, reloading, firing, shit. And that should also, just that take should be on some sort of extras thing that you can watch after you watch the movie. Yeah,
I was going to say, you should just give that to Collider as a Collider exclusive, and we'll run it.
Yeah,
just throwing that out there. One of the things about this movie is, and I couldn't believe it, is you did a Bad Boys 2. I thought the movie was coming to a close, but that was just the end of the second chapter. Yeah. So talk about the fact that it's a surprising narrative structure, if you will.
Yeah. It's almost like a 4-act kind of thing, right? In a way. I mean, there's distinct chapters to this movie. There's the opening chapter. You've got the people coming out of the sky at the World Cup and landing on the field. And before that, you've got a little bit of just a little feeling of what's going on with this family. And there's some stuff that maybe when the movie later you can read between the lines, but it's like you get a sense of a little bit of this family, that the people come out of the sky, and then you kind of get into a little of the Children of Men dystopian thing. And then the movie goes into now, and then all of a sudden the sci-fi premises start coming, getting armbanded, going to the future, stuff like that. you feel like you're in a war movie for a second, and you're in a horror movie. There's elements of, the stairwell scene is like a Hitchcock, Brian De Palma scene, and from my standpoint, or what I want to do is suspense and that kind of thing. And then you go into the stuff with the helicopters and the nest and the deep swell and defending the deep swell. It's got sort of almost like a old Western kind of thing. And you're getting into, Chris Pratt's, some of Chris Pratt's backstory and all that stuff. And for me, I wanted the next thing, I wanted that feeling that you had where it's like, oh my God, is this movie going to end? What's happening here? And then all of a sudden, oh shit, there's another thing. And all those people that we met earlier in the movie, all of a sudden, oh, those people are all going to pay off now here. I'm going to show you all those people in the beginning of the movie, and now they're all going to pay off. And one of the things in the test screenings that was really great and really satisfying is that the audience, when they watch in the test screening, they started laughing, like when Sam showed up, and then they start talking about the volcano kid, and they start laughing about the volcano kid, and then he shows up, and then they go to the Dodd at the air base, and then when they say, you need a pilot, and people are laughing before they cut to JK, because they know the movie showed you these people, and you didn't know how they were going to come back later because you didn't know how they're going to be used. And then all of a sudden, every single one of them comes back, and there's just a sense of joy to that kind of thing that the audience, that gives the audience a sense of like, oh, the movie is playing a little bit of a trick on us by introducing those people and then making them go away and now making them come back in a meaningful way. And so that was fun to sort of like experience kind of like a rolling laugh like that. It was great.
I definitely have to switch to something else just because I'm as you know, kind of a fan of this Lego Batman movie. And just kind of. So I am curious, where are you at in the production of that? And what can you tease about it?
Well, right now there's because Lego is left Warner Brothers and is now working at Universal, there probably won't be a Lego Batman sequel, unfortunately. I'm sorry to say that, but I don't think they're going to be making a Lego Batman.
I am devastated.
Yes,
that sucks.
Yeah, I know. We had a lot of, we had Dan Harmon and his team working on a script for the Lego Batman sequel that was sort of it had a Boogie Nights-esque structure where you're sort of simultaneously telling the story of the Justice League and then in the present time, as well as and Batman and his relationship with the Justice League, as well as telling the story of the Justice League of how they came together. And it was something that was going to be really special. It was really they did a really good job. It's going to be really funny. But yeah, hope maybe someday we'll resurrect that in another way. But but right now that the Universal working with Lego, and they're gonna. I mean, obviously they're gonna do something really cool with the movies, hopefully. But yeah, there won't be a Lego Batman sequel.
I feel like I just got punched in the face. Let's switch to something else that is something that is positive. So I heard Johnny Quest is moving along nicely, and that perhaps you have a recent script that people are happy with.
Yeah.
What can you say about Johnny Quest, and is that your next project?
The next project is probably going to be Renfield. That's the next project that I'm working on, which is the story of Dracula's assistant. So it's a story. It's a movie about codependency. At the end of the day, it's about what we do for other people, what we're willing to do for other people, and how to when you sort of throw yourself into a relationship with someone to the detriment of yourself, how you can get out of that kind of thing. But it's a horror movie, it's an action movie, and it's a comedy.
So you think you're filming that this year?
I hope so. Yeah, I hope by the end of the year. Yeah, absolutely.
But as a fan of Johnny Quest, what can you say? I know you're developing that. Yeah. What can you say about that project and the version of it that excites you?
Johnny Quest is what I like about Johnny Quest is it's kind of about the family that you make We have all of your favorite Johnny Quest characters, and then some deep dives and that kind of thing. But it is about how the people, Johnny is a character who experienced grief. His mother died, and it's about how the people around you can help you overcome grief. That's at the end of the day. There's something about that, but it's also very it's Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's a world hopping movie trying to solve a real world, looking for a real world artifact to stop a big global catastrophe. And it's really, I really love the characters. I really love the relationships in Johnny Quest. The writers, Matt and Craig, did an amazing job. And I'm hoping that Warner Brothers wants to make that movie really soon, because it's going to be a really cool. It's going to be it's going to be a big movie like Tomorrow War. It's going to be a big in scope family action movie.
I got to stop there. I'm just going to say thank you for your time, and I'm sure I'll talk to you soon.
Yes.